Welcome back to the Radio of Horror YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the brand new horror movie that comes out in theaters this weekend, based on the short story by Joe Hill, The Black Phone, directed by Scott Derrickson, and Cati the Blonde in front of Fear. Here to talk with us about The Black Phone, the highly anticipated horror thriller.
Yeah, that's right. Bring, horror fans, bring. Black Phone is a film you should be picking up this weekend. Directed by Scott Derrickson and written by Derrickson. And see Robert Cargill. It stars Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, Madeline McGrath, and a memorable cameo by James Ransone. The story is about a 13-year-old boy in 1978 Denver. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, he starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. Now, I thought this was a terrifying, taut, tense thriller. There are many typical horror tropes that are not found in this film that some people are going to be like, hey, I didn't think it was this. I didn't think it was this. You know what? I thought that was fine. There's a number of things that, you know what, sometimes the imagination is worse than what you can actually see on screen without the blood. I thought Ethan Hawke was creepy as fuck as the character known as the Grabber. The mask that I'm wearing now is actually nothing to do with it. But the mask that Tom Savini made, and there's a number of them, I think will be on a number of people for Halloween this year. This is one, I mean, I've said this before, 2022 I feel like is a year of Radna Hawk. He is killing it in everything that he's doing. The lead actor, Mason Thames, who plays Finn, the 13-year-old boy who is the Grabber's latest victim, I think does an amazing job. A little thing that was distracting to me, though, is that every time I saw him, all I saw was a young Brad Renfro. Like, it is seriously a little bit daunting how much of a doppelganger he is to Brad Renfro. But the standout performance in this movie to me was the young actress named Madeline McGrath, who plays Finn's sister, Gwen. I wrote down when I was watching this film, I want to be Gwen Blake when I grow up. She is absolutely amazing. Scene Stealer has some of the best lines that I wrote down and that you should see. When you watch it, you're going to have nods to The Babadook, Misery, Sinister, which Cargill, Derrickson, Ethan Hawke, and Ransone were all a part of, and a little bit of Silence of the Lambs. Not huge things, but definitely some scenes that you're going to remember. Again, this is a horror film. There's a number of things that aren't necessarily that our horror fans are going to be expecting, or maybe they're expecting and they don't come through. I don't think that's a problem. Again, one of the things I love about horror is it's always changing, it's always evolving. There's always things that, spoiler, you know what, sometimes it's a good thing when things don't go the way they're supposed to go, or, you know, when they maybe work out for the victim. And I loved it. It's in one of my, it's already right now, I feel like in one of my top 10 films of the year for horror. One thing I did think was a miss, though, is that 1978, I thought they did an excellent job. Production-wise, great. Direction, fantastic. Casting, superb. It's November in Denver, though. And anyone who knows Colorado, maybe it's me, but it didn't seem like they were shooting it in November in Denver. I expected it to be way colder, snow, something. I thought that was a little off. That was the one thing.
Turning color.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was the one thing I thought was a little bit off. Also, they're playing baseball in November in Denver, which again, I don't think is. But child abductions in the late 70s. This is one of those things that it's like, one, child abductions are one of the most terrifying things in the world anyway. But think about this almost 50 years ago. If you did not have someone who saw something, I mean, it's not like fingerprints, DNA was non-existent. They didn't have that. So if you didn't have someone who saw a car, who saw the person who saw a number of things. These kids are gone unless you find the body like weeks and weeks later. Believe me, I've watched enough true crime things. They're still finding bodies from like 40, 50 years ago that they couldn't find, and they had no clue who happened to them. So if people are a little bit like, I don't understand why it was so hard to find this killer, or why they can attract this thing. I mean, no one's looking. I mean, you've got boys that are disappearing. They don't have the bodies, and they have absolutely no clues. There's a little bit of a supernatural effect to it. I thought that was great. I thought it went well with the story. You know, some people have the gifts, some people don't. Again, I think this is a fantastic film, and it should be seen in the theater. One of my top 10 of the year so far, and I say go see it.
The brother who played Max and was what was the actor's name?
James Ranson.
Yeah, so he was like the Deputy Dewey of the Sinister films, 1 and unfortunately 2. But it's also a very interesting complete turn around for Blumhouse staple actor Ethan Hawke, who goes back to their early hit like The Purge, where he's like the uptight, very rich, sophisticated businessman of Purge security home systems, and then the downtrodden author who'd written one big hit, and unfortunately they ran out of money of the big hit, and now he's playing this completely creepy child murderer. Thankfully they didn't go in any other directions that we're aware of, but just absolute wondering, oh, is there somebody else involved in this? You kind of watch the movie and you kind of find out, for sure. But just those 3 different roles show why Ethan Hawke is, in my opinion, one of the most, I think, underrated actors of Hollywood. Yes, he's an A-list star, but he is, I don't ever hear people talk about him like Tom Cruise or anyone who's in a Marvel comic book movie. But they did say, somebody said after watching this movie, they would love to see Ethan Hawke be cast as Mephisto for the Marvel Universe. And I totally see that. Just his swarmy attitude as the devil, the Marvel's version of the devil. But his portrayal in this movie is, again, the 3 things he's done for Blumhouse. And I think these are the only 3 films that I know that he's done for Blumhouse, unless I'm missing one. Really speak to just his amazing caliber, and also the way they made his mask, Tom Savini. There's been a lot of comparison, of course, to Lon Chaney Sr. in his film, the Lost silent film, which nobody alive today has ever seen. London After Midnight, just the way it is with the elongated face and the smiling and stuff in the top hat. The only thing I really wish they had kept a secret longer was the supernatural part of the film. I really wish that would have been like a kind of like, aha. I wasn't expecting the supernatural nearly as much.
I wasn't expecting it. I thought I somewhat knew about the spirits of the deceased victims trying to help him out so that he wouldn't join the club. But the other supernatural aspect, I didn't know anything about, I thought that was one of the better parts of the film, which again is Gwen Blake, Finn's little sister. Yeah, regarding Ethan Hawke, I mean, within the past 6 months, it's like Moon Knight, The Northman, and this. 2022, the year of Ragnarok. I just think he's killing it in everything that he's doing.
That's right. He was in Moon Knight. I almost completely forgot about that. The sister, her foul mouth attitude towards the cops, my favorite part of the movie, and people are cheering and laughing or whatever when she calls them assholes. That was fantastic. The actor who plays their father, I met him at Rock and Shock a few years ago. That was a lot of fun.
Jeremy Davies.
Yeah, really, really nice guy. A lot of people know him from Lost, of course. The feel the entire movie, and then we have without not so much a spoiler, but a very well, that wraps up this case kind of ending. It just felt suddenly like, okay, we're done. all of a sudden, that was the only reaction people had leaving the theater was like, that's it. I was like, yeah, no, that's matter of fact, that's how we wrap up this case.
And you know what? That's one of the things I liked about it. I like the fact that you've got a horror movie that has a happy ending. I mean, Finn and Gwen's life isn't going to be, you know, naturally idealistic, but he has that little bit of machismo, that bravado that he has now, that confidence that he didn't have before. He didn't have any friends. His home life is shit. His mom's dead. I mean, and the ghosts were like, look, this is what you need to do this. This is on you. We need you to step up. You've got the arm. You've got the thing. It's like all these little ghosts that knew he had it in him. They wanted to make sure it's like, you need to go on and live for us because we're dead. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of people are probably going to have like what you said. That's like, what, that's it. I'm like, good. It's nice to have just a true happy ending in a film.
Yeah.
Good for you, Blumhouse, because I mean, honestly, this is one of the only ones that I've seen that it actually happens with Blumhouse. And I'm like, fine. I do think that since they were so tight-lipped, or you know, they gave nothing of a backstory on the grabber, which again, fine. I feel like in 22 with miniseries, movies, all that stuff, that they're almost giving too much away with the antagonist, that they want us to like feel empathy and stuff for that. I don't care about what happened to you. It sucks, but big deal. You're doing evil, shitty things. So I'm really glad that they didn't give a backstory. They gave no history of why he's doing this or trying to justify, you know, all that stuff. And I'm like, if this is going to lead to possibly a prequel with Ethan Hawke doing that, fine. I'm all for that. If not, if this is a standalone film, I'm good with that too, because I think it's solid. I think, again, The Grabber is a horror antagonist that is going to definitely, you know, be a solid character in, I don't know. I think he's got the potential of being a horror legend. And I think that is always and only because of the portrayal of Ethan Hawke. I mean, they kind of, the way he did it, you sort of have this feeling that maybe there's like a dissociative personality disorder, maybe not. Again, they don't go into that. Fine, don't leave that to the prequel, or don't really, you know, again, don't really need to feel like something like this is justifying what, you know, a means or justifying the ends of what he's doing. Don't need that. But if there's going to be a prequel, it needs to be with Hawke, because he's the only one that I can see doing this, because he's just, I mean, the scenes that he's in, even if we don't see certain things that are happening or that he's done, it's the way that they're described and the way that it's built up, that it builds the tension. Like, again, there's so many things that you don't see, that just the mind is honestly is a movie maker's biggest is the biggest thing that you can do with the audience, because honestly there's so many things that an audience member can be so much more messed up in their mind than what you can see on screen. So I think Derrickson did a great job. I think the script was good. I know with Joe Hill, I didn't read the story, but I'm sure, you know, it was fantastic. But yeah,
there's just
I think it's great.
There's just two things they changed. One, he's more John Wayne Gacy in the book, and the sister is a non-existent player, really. So they really wanted to change that, you know, to give her something, you know, give her like a bigger role. And I guess the John Wayne Gacy thing with clowns, we just came off of it. We don't need to do clowns again. So they changed it to this magician with the devil mask, which is fine, because then that can lead into, if they do a prequel, if Hawke returns, you know, if Joe Hill, maybe Joe Hill will write the prequel story, you know, and explain the magic part. You know, why is the mask a horn mask? They don't go into any of that, and that's just totally fine. If we never get a prequel because Hawke's so busy, great, fantastic. Don't make a prequel without Hawke. You know, if you're gonna cast somebody else younger, don't do that, because unless you just nail it with somebody that's just like Hawke, but just don't do it. I would be fine if this is by itself.
Yeah, standalone, fine. If they're going, if just thinking off the top of my head, if you would do something that was going to try and do a prequel that's justify all, or like give a backstory, Dane DeHaan, I think, would be a good actor
Oh,
to
yeah.
play a younger Hawk, and could do like is with his acting ability. I think be just would do a damn fine job if they gave the right script to him. But I mean, and again, this is just off the top of my head, but I would much rather see Hawk and sorry, and a little bit more James Ranson, because I love Officer So-and-so from Sinister. I love that this is, I think they're like 5th or 6th collaboration together, James Ranson and Ethan Hawke. So anything that they're in together, I just eat it up like candy, because I just think they're an amazing duo, even if they're not in scenes for that long. Give them more movies, give them a buddy cop kind of thing going on, because they need to have like a series of films, because they're so amazing together.
You were 100% right about the Blumhouse movies, because I am positive I've seen every single Blumhouse movie, including the Amazon films, and even the Amazon films, neither not everyone escapes, or they're thrown in jail, or it's just misery endings. I mean, the Halloween movies, obviously, Michael Myers just keeps getting away. Maybe the new Halloween movie will have a happy ending with Laurie finally murdering Michael Myers, but we'll see. None of the Paranormal Activity movies have a happy ending. The Purge films, I guess so. The second and third one, I mean, the second one, honestly, but those are the Purge movies. We're not going to get into it. Just a lot of death. But in the Sinister films, a lot of death. But yeah, Blumhouse seems to make that, wants to make that. And so they do one where there is, good guys get away. But go check it out. It's in theaters right now. It's definitely worth checking out in theaters. If you got to wait till it comes out in video or on demand, that's totally fine, because of not going to theaters. But excuse me. Jesus Christ, getting over COVID sucks too. So if that you don't want to go to theaters because of COVID, I get it. Check out the rest of the videos here on the Radio Hour YouTube channel. Check out Katie on her Facebook page, The Blonde in Front,
and Instagram and YouTube. Thank you.
And we'll be back later in the summer for some of the horror movie. I don't have all the horror movies off the top of my head. There was a cool preview for a new horror movie trailer with the Black Phone. So,
and Bodies is coming from A24 soon.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes, and Nope. Yes. And stuff on Amazon, Shudder, and Prime, and Netflix that we will probably cover off the top of my head. I'm not thinking of it, but like stuff I keep seeing previews for left and right. I'm like, ooh, that looks good. Ooh, that looks good. But like, subscribe, and comment. Check us out on our social medias. Bye, everybody.